Movies, television, books, music, games, comics. Pop culture is one of the things that makes life worth living, and pop culture can be a window into your soul. Welcome to Blew My Mind, a forum for Shrink Tank contributors to share and discuss their own personal, mind-blowing pop culture experiences. I'm your host, Dr. Craig Pohlman. I'm a neurodevelopmental psychologist, Trekkie, and Yoda disciple. I'm joined by two guests, Juliet Kuehnle. Woo-hoo! Juliet is a writer, singer, and therapist who works with individuals, couples, families, and groups on issues such as grief and loss, body image, and life transitions. How are you, Juliet?
Doing well, thank you.
We're going to be talking sports in just a moment, and I know you're a sports fan. Did you play sports when you were a kid?
I did. I grew up in Pinehurst, so had to play golf. That was pretty much a requirement. And I also played volleyball and softball.
What's your handicap in golf?
Yep. Moving right along.
Okay, Tarik Sloussi.
Yo, yo, yo.
Tarik is a writer and therapist who helps middle school, high school, and young adult guys find peace and fulfillment in their lives. He specializes in behavioral, mood, and adjustment-related problems. And when it comes to basketball, it's my understanding that he's got some game.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So what position do you play?
I'm a little bit undersized, so I'm a guard.
Okay, so play a little off the ball, a little two guard?
A little 1-2, depending on the situation.
All right, so let's roll. This is the first episode of Blew My Mind that is devoted to sports, an integral part of popular culture. I think one reason so many people love sports is that people love stories. A sporting event, game, or season is a story, and an archetypal story is David slaying Goliath. Tarik, tell us about a sports upset that blew your mind.
Oh, I've got a good one for you here. So I'm a big college football fan, and the one that sticks out most to me when I think about upsets is Alabama-Auburn. You talk about the Iron Bowl and how that's just, one of the biggest games of the season. And you talk about Alabama. If you've ever been to Alabama, you're either an Auburn fan or an Alabama fan. So we're going to go back to 2013 in the Iron Bowl, and we're going to or highlight the clip real quick, and then we'll discuss it a little bit more in depth.
Number 8 block kick can go the other way, too. He's got to be careful and get it up.
On the way. No, return by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags. Touchdown. Auburn. An answered prayer.
So as you see there, Auburn runs back a 109-yard missed field goal. Now there's a lot that plays a factor here. You look at the situation. It was 28-28, 1 second left on the clock. The running back from Alabama had run out of bounds at the 24 or from the 24-yard line to Auburn's 38-yard line, making it a 57-yard field goal.
And didn't they have to review to make sure that there was actually time left on the clock?
Yes, that is exactly right.
Auburn
yeah.
had to appeal that. Yeah.
They did, and then after review, they were going to go to overtime, but after review, they saw that the Alabama running back stepped out of bounds with 1 second. So they put 1 second on the clock. The other interesting factor is the field goal kicker, who had missed 3 field goals that game for Alabama, had been
terrible.
sat. Yeah. So it was a red shirt freshman coming up, kicks it short. Auburn runs it all the way back and scores a touchdown to win the game.
That is so crazy.
So the kick six.
The kick six, yes.
And I believe this says Vern Lundquist on that call there. And I think that is Gary Danielson, the other announcer. But he very prescient. He said, "You got to watch out for the block kick."
Exactly.
Wasn't exactly what happened, but I have never seen anything like that in a major game to return. Like, it wasn't a block. It was just a short field goal. Grabbed it at the very end of the end zone and ran it all the way back.
And it's such a rivalry game. I mean, it's so heartbreaking.
And you talk about Alabama and the powerhouse that they were. They won the national championship in 09, 11, 12. So they were coming in there as the team to beat, and no one could beat them the entire season. And Auburn,
they're going for the three-peat.
Oh yeah,
that year.
Yeah. And Auburn, you got to remember, they came off of a 3-9 season just the season prior. After Cam Newton won the national championship in 2010, they were still trying to figure it all out.
And that was a Cinderella season for Auburn. A few games before that, they had that ridiculous comeback against Georgia.
Oh, yes.
When it was a 4th down heave, and 2 Georgia defenders totally could have knocked the ball. It was a 4th down, and they tried to intercept the ball. It goes up in the air. Auburn receiver catches it and goes down for a touchdown. So they were like they had 9 lives that season.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they went on to win, the SEC championship against Missouri after beating Alabama. So that game right there, the run back, the 100-yard touchdown, really led them to the SEC national championship, which they went on to win.
Right. They did lose the national championship game, I believe, to Florida State.
They did
year.
against Florida State. But then Alabama, that was the playoff. And then Alabama played for national championship against Notre Dame and ended up beating them. So Alabama really did not,
No. That was this play kept Alabama from winning the national championship that year. The previous year was they had won the previous 2, so they're going for the 3-peat that year. And Auburn went on to the national championship. I think this is the final. This may have been the final BCS year against Florida State, and then the playoffs started the next year.
You're right. Yep. That is right.
So this was a dramatic upset that really changed history in terms of Alabama's dynasty.
For sure.
So all right, let's speaking of dynasties, let's go to Juliet.
Okay, so this one is really, really tragic for me, but just a really personal upset that stands out. So Duke, my parents have had season tickets for almost 25 years, and I happened to have season tickets for a couple years when I was in high school, including in '99. And I have always been diehard. So I remember that year writing letters to the players, things I'm really, really proud of. Really, really cute moves on my part.
Personal connection.
Writing letters to players. My dad's a doctor, so I used to take his little dictator and record games, record senior speeches. I was all in.
Indoctrinated.
Yeah. So we all went to St. Petersburg, Florida that year for the Final Four. Duke was playing UConn. UConn was considered the underdog. And up to this point, Duke had held all previous teams in the tournament to about 36% for field goal percentage. However, UConn, I think, finished about 54% this game. And I remember being there. I remember that I met Grant Hill that game. It was just like a life-changing weekend for me.
He was not playing.
No. Oh, no. He was just there.
Yeah, 99, he was several years in the NBA.
That's right. So this is Trajan Langdon's last game. So the Alaskan Assassin, his last game. Chris Carrawell, Will Avery, Elton Brand. I mean, it was that whole crew.
Shane Battier.
Shane Battier. That's right.
Corey McGetty was a freshman. Yeah.
We were supposed to win.
The sophomore class was really amazing for Duke that year with Battier and Brand.
So I picked a clip that's going to kind of speed us through because it's just too painful for me to watch it any more slowly. We were tied at 5 minutes. And then there's a lot of back and forth. UConn was up 3 with a minute left. And then poor Trajan in his very last collegiate game ends up losing the ball at the very end. And we lost. And
let's just get this over with.
Okay,
Because by the way, we should full disclosure. All 3 of us are Duke basketball fans.
Die hard.
So this is a painful memory. For all of us.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate your emotional authenticity, Juliet, for bringing this to the table.
So painful. Let's do it.
We're here for it.
Carrawell, 3-pointer. Block out by Freeman.
And
Great rebound.
Battier gets it out. Langdon 3. The senior delivers. A 1-point game. 9 seconds to go. The whole season on the line. Traveling on Langdon.
And Elamine goes to the line.
You'll need a 3 to tie.
Try to get it off. He doesn't have a lot of time here.
And UConn has done it. Just when people say you can't, you can.
It's like a sucker punch every time, and it just brings tears to my eyes. And so I remember sitting there after the game for a long time, just stunned and just staring at the court. And I had actually been sitting by myself for the second half. And so I was separated from my family for a long time. Like, we couldn't find each other because we were all in this.
You were not in danger, were you?
No, I don't even remember. At this point, it just didn't even matter.
It was
brought. Just worst night ever. I eventually found them, but it sucked.
And I think they also snapped a 32-game winning streak there because Duke was on a 32-game winning streak. They ended up finishing 37-1 overall, but they were on a 32-game winning streak that year.
This was an upset because Duke had such a special team and really could have been historically, great.
That's right.
But UConn, they were also number 1 seed in the tournament, and they had been ranked number 1 for a good part of the year after Duke lost their 1 game. So UConn was a really good team. One of my memories of this Final Four, I love Coach K, but he gets kind of these goofy interests and ideas, and one of them back then was that he liked to experience a Final Four through a player's eyes, which I thought that was just kind of ridiculous. And so he was really focused on the perspective of Trajan Langdon, his senior shooting guard, which I thought played into his very bad decisions at the end to go through him. I mean, for the last play, it should have been the point guard, Will Avery, bring the ball up and trying to penetrate, or give it to Elton Brand, who is the player of the year, rather than having Trajan Langdon try to make
against
a play.
The big guy. Yeah.
So
well, and Trajan did finish with 25 points. I mean, he had a decent game. I think he had 5 3-pointers, and he had a big game. Just that last minute was crucial.
I think another point to note is the players on the other team. You talk about Richard Hamilton. I've watched his career in the NBA much more than in college, but he was outstanding.
Yes.
If you look at any highlight clips, he's getting the ball, running around screens, and knocking down. He had 27 points that game.
He was great. I should add that Sean, our audio engineer, is smiling ear to ear. He's a Carolina fan.
Sick.
So, all right, let's talk about my sports upset.
Fired.
Get out! All right. Before I introduce my upset, I want to give a little quick history lesson and go back to 1991, Super Bowl 25, when the Giants beat the Buffalo Bills, and that was a big upset because the Bills had a high-scoring offense. They had just roared through the playoffs, and they had a chance to win the game as time expired with a field goal attempt that went right. Scott Norwood didn't get it done, the field goal kicker, and that was a really significant loss because even though the Bills went to the Super Bowl the following 3 years for 4 in a row, psychologically, I felt like they were so damaged by that loss that they just got blown out every year. So really, history changed with that missed field goal. So I want to go now to Super Bowl 36 back in 2002, and this is the Rams versus the New England Patriots, the St. Louis Rams. And the Rams were a huge favorite in that game, had a high-scoring offense. They were known as the greatest show on turf. And the Patriots were upstarts. They pulled it together that season with a very young, unproven, and relatively unknown quarterback by the name of Tom Brady.
Horrible Tom Brady. I mean, I respect him, but I'm a Peyton Manning fan, so that's tough for me.
And a little tie-in here, the head coach for New England then and now, Bill Belichick, who was the defensive coordinator for the Giants back at Super Bowl 25. So New England really dominated the game for the most part, but then the Rams came back, tied it at 17 apiece, and New England got the ball with no timeouts, about a minute and a half left. And let's just listen to some of the action here.
I think that the Patriots, with this field position, you have to just run the clock out. You have to play for overtime now. I don't think you want to force anything here. You don't want to do anything stupid because you have no timeouts and you're backed up.
Brady's in the shotgun.
Now, one of the things I like about that clip is John Madden, the announcer, is on record saying, don't go for the win. Just basically take a knee and play for overtime. And New England wanted no part of that. They went into their 2-minute offense and went down the field again with no timeouts. Here's another little clip of the action as they creep closer into field goal range.
And stop the clock as he did right there.
41 seconds left.
This guy is really cool, though. I mean, I've been impressed watching Tom Brady on film and in television games and so on, but the way he's playing this game today, he has been very, very impressive with his calmness.
So Madden talking about Tom Brady and his calm and his poise, which really, a hallmark of his career, and he managed through very, precision passing and shrewd clock management, got them down into field goal range barely, and Adam Vinatieri got the boot as time expired.
He makes it, and it's right down the pipe. Super Bowl 36. Unbelievable.
So this upset blew my mind for a number of reasons. One is it was an exciting Super Bowl that was decided at the end, and we'd kind of gotten used to these blowout Super Bowls, so that was really cool. And then history changed because of a made field goal. The Patriots then went on and have won 4 Super Bowls since for a total of 5. They've been to 7 Super Bowls with Tom Brady. I really feel like because of that clutch performance, that upset, they really became a dynasty. That was their first step.
And I think another point to highlight there, you talk about Tom Brady's poise in that closing 2-minute drive. Actually, it's more like 40 seconds it took them to go from their own 20 to get in field goal range. And that's exactly what he showed just this past year against the Atlanta Falcons.
Right.
It's just that poise. And I remember watching this year's Super Bowl, and as soon as they got that sack fumble, the strip sack.
Fourth quarter, yeah.
Fourth quarter, I just knew it wasn't over. Even though the Patriots needed to score 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions, I just knew because we've seen Tom Brady do this again and again.
That's right. You can't deny it. He's good.
Yep. All right, that is all we have time for. Our audio engineer and editor is Sean Beck. He's undefeated this season. Thanks to my guests, Juliet, Kuehnle, and Tarik Sloussi. We all write articles for Shrink Tank. Be sure to check out all of the content, including videos, quizzes, and surveys on our website. ShrinkTank.com is the place for all of your psychology and pop culture needs. Until next time, I'm Craig Pohlman, and this is Blew My Mind.
ShrinkTank.com